Hey guys, how's it going? Professor Shuckle here, back again with another Pokemon Draft League video. This time I'll be going over my run for the Smogon Ultra Sun Ultra Moon Draft Cup, the second season for this year. And yes, that's right, I'm going to go over another format that I don't usually play. Most of my friends or like viewers would know that usually I hate on Ultra Sun Ultra Moon, but because I did so well in the Oras Cup, like where I made runner up, and if you haven't checked that video out, you should if you like Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire games. And we made the finals there, so we got a bunch of points for Draft League Circuit, which is basically just like a leaderboard of how well people do in different Smogon draft tours. And the top 16 at the end get to compete in like a tournament. And because I came runner up, I got 367 points. And because of that, I like crossed into the top 16. And I figured since I'm already there, I might as well try to compete in more tournaments to try and maintain my place in the top 16. So I signed up for Ultra Sun Ultra Moon. I didn't sign up for this one last year when they had the first edition of this, but I decided to sign up this time, and I was offered help by like K-Crick, so huge shout outs to him. He helped me doing drafting as well as looking over my pace and suggesting like modifications. And Odin, who also helped me during drafting. So both of them are the goats. Huge shout outs to them. I don't remember if anyone else helped me while drafting. Maybe Aster did too. So if he did, huge shout outs to him as well. But yeah, let's jump into our draft. And I believe we had either third or fourth pick. And I really wanted Zeraora to drop to us. And it did. And this is because I think speed is very important in these old gens because there's not a lot of Pokemon that have speed. And like personally, I don't like Pokemon like Weavile and Noivern, so I don't want to be stuck with them for speed, right? So I just wanted to grab like good speed early on, and Zeraora fits the bill because it's so fast, faster than Koko, which many people believe to be the best Pokemon in this format. And then it's pretty much the fastest thing. I don't know what's faster than this. I think it's just like Mega Aerodactyl, Mega Beedrill, and Electrode. So yeah, it's basically one of the fastest mods, like relevant mods. It has knockoff, Plasma Fist, like Bulk Up, Calm Mind, so it's a good it can be a good sweeper on either physical or special side. It can be a good breaker, has pretty good coverage. It has hidden power this gen, which is legal. So which is huge, like hidden power ice for the Garchomp and the Landorus is pretty huge. Z Outrage for like Mega Charizard X. Z Close Combat is a nuke. You can also do like Z Giga Impact for like Nidoking. So there's a lot of options this Pokemon has as a Z user, and this was one of her Z captains as well. So getting this round one was huge because you get your speed, a good Z user, and a breaker all in one. Next up, round two, I decided to get Mew because it was still around, and I think Mew in old gens is really, really good because it has so much versatility. This is another Pokemon that is super broken with Z moves. Munium Z is allowed in this format, so that Genesis Supernova is super awesome to have the option of that. Even other options, just like either Electrum Z or like ICM Z, because you can have Bolt Beam coverage with Calm Mind, or you can run Bulk Up if you want. It has you can agility. You can still run like Taunt, Super Fang, Will-O-Wisp, Roost if you really want it. It can do a bunch of things. It also has pivoting moves and like U-Turn, Volt Switch, which is pretty huge. It can defog. It's good into Mega Glade and Mega Medicham, so like the fighting megas. So yeah, pretty insane Pokemon. I think it's really solid. And then I think the good thing about this is like either one of them can be Z pretty flexibly. Neither of them neither of them becomes really bad without Z. Like they're still really good without Z, and then with Z they get broken, so that's really good. And like depending on the matchup, Mew can be flexible into doing whatever it wants. For round 3, I decided to get one of my favorite Pokemon of all time, Mega Diancie. It is the Pokemon I've had most success with. Usually it used to be a round 1 pick, but a lot of people have started hating on it, and I don't really get why. And it was only 15 points as well, which seems crazy to me. So yeah, I don't know why people hate on it so much. It has a fantastic like offensive stats, like 160 attack, 160 special attack, 110 speed is pretty good. And it fills out our speed tiers pretty nicely. Like Mew goes from 100, then we have 110, and then Zera to be faster than like the Torn and the Cocos and stuff. And yeah, Rock Fairy is an amazing offensive typing, only Steel resisted, and then we have Earth Power or Hidden Power Fire for like Ferrothorn or Scizor. Obviously, its bulk is a little mediocre, but your main goal with this is to either break or sweep, which I think it does really well. Magic Bounce is a great ability. It has Rock Polish to sweep. Like, you can just do a bunch of things. I think this mod's really good. I've had a lot of success with it in the past. In fact, it is my kill leader. So I thought it just made sense to grab it. We also get a Fairy type this way. Obviously, a Fairy doesn't resist fighting, so we have to be careful of that. We do have Mew to help with that, which is awesome, right? So I feel like the synergy was really good. Next up, I decided to grab Run for Steelix. Steelix is a mon that has been going earlier and earlier in USUM, just because it checks one of the best Pokemon in Tapu Koko. It also serves as a soft check into Zeraora, which is like top 3 Pokemon as well. And yeah, Steel Ground, pretty like it's a good roll compression mon. It gives reliable rocks. Gyro Ball and Earthquake hit pretty hard. It has Toxic, Roar. You can do Sturdy, Custap shenanigans. Pretty solid Pokemon. The only issue with this is our Steel doesn't resist Ice, which can be a problem. But other than that, Steelix does pretty well into like a bunch of Pokemon, which is really nice. Next up, I decided to get Hydreigon because we were starting to rack up a bit of ground weakness, so I wanted something off the ground. And Hydreigon fits that. It also gives us a pretty reliable and good Scarfer. In fact, I usually say that 95% of Hydreigons are choice Scarf. Just because its speed is in that awkward tier where it's like slower than base 100. It also, base 125 often feels like a little weak. So half the time you end up just choice scarfing it because it feels too slow into the meta, or like it's not powerful enough, so you kind of just want to revenge things with it, because Dark Dragon's actually pretty good offensive typing. Only resisted by like Fairy, but you have Flash Cannon or you can U-turn out to get momentum. Unfortunately, in this gen, Hydreigon does not have Dragon Dance or Nasty Plot, so its way of like boosting it stats is pretty low. But it does have good utility. It has Taunt, it has Roost, it has Defog as well. Obviously, U-turn, as mentioned, it can be bulky for sure. Like 92, 1990 is pretty solid bulk. And the typing has a lot of resistances, which is really good. Immunity to ground is fantastic, as we said. And basically what we want to do with this is like either revenge stuff, because it's a reliable Scarfer, or like check bulky Psychics as well, if Mew is offensive. Or U-turn to bring in like Zera, Mew, Diancie, which is pretty cool. Next up, I decided to get Shaman, which is another Darkrai staple on old gen teams. And once again, I thought this was seriously undervalued at just 9 points. Base 100 across the board is incredible, right? Like, we already have Mew with the base 100, and Shaman is pretty similar, where the base 100 bulk means that if you don't have super effective moves to hit this thing, it can be really, really annoying to like take down, especially with like leftovers plus like Lead Seed. Obviously, Seed Flare is pretty strong as well, especially if you get the drop, because it has pretty decent coverage in like Psychic, Dazzling Gleam, Earth Power, Hidden Power. So it can definitely be a really annoying mon to switch into, especially if you get the Seed Flare drop. Its speed is like also pretty good for a bulky Pokemon, which is really good. It does have like sword stance and some physical utility, but it's often like not worth it to run. Like Seed Flare is just better, and then it has reliable recovery and synthesis. It can also it's a really good water switch in because of natural cure, so we don't care about scald burns or even toxic because we can switch out and reset our status. And then this gives us another ground resistance, which is really good because right now we'd be weak to Excadrill because Mold Breaker, but now Shaman helps with that, which is really good. I've also used Shaman to check stuff like Terrakion or Megaladios in the past, so this mod can definitely be bulky and tailored to check whatever you wanted to check. Next up, I decided to get Quillfish. If you followed my Oras run, I also drafted Quillfish there. This is once again something similar to Steelix, where it just offers a lot to a draft because it's a water, it's a poison, it's a grounded poison, it has spikes, T-spikes, it has Thunder Wave, it has Aqua Jet. Intimidate is really nice defensively. The speed tier is also pretty good for a defensive Pokemon, base 85, so you can taunt slower stuff. It's also not too passive at base 95 attack, and it has Gunk Shot and Waterfall, which do decent damage. It has Pain Split as well to try to heal itself up. And Destiny Bond and stuff. It has a bunch of utility. Quillfish is a pretty good mon. We needed a water type, we needed a grounded poison, so it's another roll compression mon. And it's it just does Quillfish things, And then last, I decided to get Zangoose just to get another breaker on the team. Something that Hydreigon U-turn, going to Zangoose, Bulky Fairy comes in on Hydra. You can U-turn into Zangoose, get the Toxic Orb, and then you can fire off a strong Facade. It also has quick attack for Prio, which is pretty good. So yeah, that's a draft. I think it's pretty solid. A lot of people didn't like it because they said Shaman's not that good, and what I should have done is made this slot a Tangela or something, so a cheaper grass, and used the points to upgrade Quillfish. Which was an option I was considering, a cheaper grass, and then this Quillfish would become a Toxapex. But I decided Shaman was just undervalued, and I wanted to use it and show people that it is pretty decent. So yeah, that's a draft, and let's go into our first group game. So once again, we were put in pools of 4, and anybody who gets 2 wins would automatically qualify for the next round. It wasn't that you had to be top 2, so even if 3 people finished with 2-1, 2-1, 2-1, or 3-0, 2-1, 2-1, all 3 would qualify. So starting up, our first game was against Blitzberg. Blitz was a member of Tangang, so I've teamed with him on DPL Season 4 when we won. So he's a bit of a draft league boomer, you can say. He's been around for a while. And then I don't think people saw him play for a while, a year or something, and then he was back, and then he's back playing a bunch of Smogon draft tours, so that's pretty cool. And starting up, he has a team of Mega Charizard X, Tapu Koko, Cortana, Swampert, Uxie, Roselia, and I believe he had a Mandibuzz and a Misdreavus on the bench. So this is a pretty scary team. I think Mega Charizard X is just an incredible Pokemon. Tapu Koko is, most people say, the best Pokemon in this format. We do have Steelix, so the most likely and the scariest, what do you call it? The scariest scenario for us is Koko U-turning on the Steelix as it comes in, and going into Zard, and clicking a really strong Flare Blitz or Overheat or whatever Zard wants to do. Cortana is really strong, pretty good Scarfer. Swampert's pretty reliable for rocks. Uxie can as well. Uxie can also set screens. We could also just be Spadef Toxic for the Mew. And then Roselia is pretty annoying for a team as well. We don't really switch into it super well. But let's jump into our paste. Starting up, we have a very Fizz-Def Shaman with Seed Flare, Earth Power, Healing Wish, and Synthesis. this is a Kartana check on the team. Otherwise, we don't really have a good Kartana check. Earth Power is just for the Zard and like Coco if it tries to come in, and Seed Flare hits everything else pretty hard. I debated Psychic for a while for the Roselia, but then figured that it might not come because I thought Mandibuzz was a more likely bring for the Mew. Or the other thing was if I don't get the Spidef drop on the Roselia, then Psychic wouldn't do a lot. I debated being relaxed with Zen Headbutt, but I was told that was like trolling. So yeah, I just went with this set and decided Healing Wish was really nice for either Zera or Mew to bring them back. And yeah, so I went with Healing Wish utility over like a coverage move for Roselia, and then Synthesis just for longevity. Next up, we have Steelix, which is max Spidef, basically. The Fistef EVs, I think, were just to make some Cart and Zard rolls a little better. I pop a berry, so just in case, like the Tapu Koko decides to Z the Tapunium Z with the Z Nature's Madness, the Guardian of Alola, and it does 75, then we can eat it and go back to like a good amount of health. Rocks, because rocks are broken. Also good into Zard. Earthquake hits pretty much everything except Uxie. Toxic, just because Toxic is, toxic. And then Roar, just in case like Uxie some combine setup or anything tries to set up, we can just roar it out. Next up, we have Zeraora. We are Fightinium Z this week. Bulk up 3 attacks, close combat, Plasma Fist, and knockoff. I believe we were aggro creeping Tapu Koko. So Tapu Koko creeping Mega Diancie, I believe. And this is pretty strong. This is a dedicated lead as well. Z fighting hits basically everything like really, really hard. Because you're most likely switching to this either Swampert or like Zard once it Mega Evolves. Because Tapu Koko takes too much from Plasma Fist this gen because of the electric terrain boost. So yeah, and then knockoff was just for like the Uxie or just knocking off items is pretty good. And then this is just like a breaker here. It's not going to be a win con because what do you call it? Scarf Kartana is pretty likely into our build just because we have Mega Diancie. So this is going to be a breaker. And then we have a super bulky. Okay, it's not super bulky. It's pretty offensive too. But we have an Ipapa Berry, Nasty Plot, 3 attacks Mew. Because there's no recovery, we decided to go with the Super Berry. And with Nasty Plot, Thunderbolt, Psychic, Vacuum Wave. Psychic hits pretty much everything except the Uxie, right? Because there's a Mandibuzz, I couldn't really fit Shadow Ball or Signal Beam for the Uxie, so I decided to be Thunderbolt because hitting the Mandibuzz was more important. And Vacuum Wave is just to pick off Kartana or like anything that is weakened. And this is what the main reason Healing Wish was there, because the Mandibuzz, once we click Plot, is probably gonna try to Toxic Mew, which is fine, and so we can Thunderbolt then twice and take it out. And then we can Healing Wish the Mew back later so we are not poisoned, and then we can try to set up again or just try to even just break again or sweep even because it's so bulky. Next we have Mega Diancie, which is gonna be enough speed for the Kartana, so we hit 349, and we're running Moonblast, Diamond Storm, Earth Power, and Hidden Power Grass. So Moonblast, just pretty strong in general. The only resists are the Kartana, which is not really a resist, and Roselia. And I figured Diamond Storm would hit the Roselia hard enough because its Fistef is not as good. Earth Power OHKOs the Kartana, I believe, and also hits the Coco and the Zard pretty hard, which is really nice. And then Hidden Power Grass was just to hit Swampert a little harder. Maybe even get the KO if it's not like Rinda. So I figured either a Spidef Swampert or a Spidef Uxie were going to be the switch into Diancie. So this way, if it's Swampert, we can pick it up. And last we have Quillfish with another Super Berry. So we have 3 Super Berries, right? This is the USUM Gen. So, um, and then we're basically max Fist F, Impish, Spikes, Thunder Wave, Poison Jab, and Taunt. Spikes, because Spikes are broken. Get Chip on Swampert, Roselia, Coco. Thunder Wave is just to slow down the Zard in case he's not sub. And in my head, I was like, the Zard is unlikely to be sub here because it needs like too much coverage. If it's like sub Roost 2 attacks, it's just going to be slower than like a lot of things. So it's more likely to be like DD 3 attacks, no Roost, than to be like sub. So Thunder Wave was really nice because if you catch the Zard with Thunder Wave, then even Shaman can do a lot of damage to it. Mew would be faster in case he goes Jolly max speed. Stuff like that. Poison Jab is just like decent damage. It does good damage to Coco. You can fish for poison. And then Taunt was just to stop like Mandibuzz or Roselia from doing any, statusy stuff. So yeah, that's the team. Let's jump into the game. As I said, I was going to lead Zeraora just to try and break early with him. As he leads Yuxi, and I was like, this is perfect. I get a free knockoff. I expected Rocks, and I was like, Rocks can go up. I don't really care. My team is not as weak to Rocks as his is. So, yeah, I click knockoff. I do a good chunk of damage as he reveals to be Assault Vest. I was like, oh, this is probably his Mega Diancie check then. And we've taken a huge chunk off of it, which is really nice. As he clicks knockoff, and it doesn't do any damage because we are the Titanium Z. So I used this to just bulk up, thinking he might either U-turn or I don't know, either U-turn or Psychic. There's no other real play he has. But he clicks Psychic and does 49. So I was like, oh, he's pretty invested then. This feels like a lot of damage from Yuxi, which is not known for its damage output. So I was like, this probably means that the Plasma Fist would just pick this off. So I go click Plasma Fist, don't really try to predict here. If he goes Swampert, he goes Swampert, so be it. But there's nothing else he could really go into, right? Because I could also just try to click Knock again if it killed. So Hard Kartana or Roselia was not really a play. It was either Swampert or Sack Yuxi. So we're able to get the KO on Yuxi, which is pretty good. And no Rocks up on our side yet. In comes Kartana, and I thought this is kind of screaming Scarf, so I just go into Shaman and keep the Zeraora around because I can still Healing Wish it back and it could still do it work because I haven't used my Z. So yeah, he clicks Leaf Blade, takes Rocky Helmet, and here, after this Leaf Blade, because the Shaman is in, I thought this was his best chance to go Zard and get his Mega off so he's not weak to Rocks, right? Because if I get up Rocks at any point, he's going to take 50% unless he defaults with Cart or Coco. So, in my head, I thought he was going to go Zard here. And so I make the double into Diancie expecting the Zard. But he actually goes into Roselia, which is a little annoying. It also makes sense because Roselia is a pretty good check for Shaman. But I was like, oh, dang. I was really expecting the Zard because then I get to fire off a free Diamond Storm. And if I get like the boost, that's pretty good because I can stand on Swampert to Hidden Power Grass. And if like Roselia comes in on a switch, Diamond Storm will probably 2-hit KO it. So I was like, oh, and I don't really have a switch here. I could go Shaman, but he can Sludge Bomb after, because I don't hit it because I don't have coverage. I could go Mew, but I wanted to bring in Mew safely so I could Nasty Plot up. So I was like, okay, this is a little annoying. So I decided to just Mega Evolve and click Diamond Storm, and it only does 45. Which means this is Fist F, so this is probably for Coco, I guess. I thought it would be like more Spit F or... Yeah, I don't know. But the Diamond Storm does like no damage, which is really sad. And this is why I wanted to run Psychic or Psyshock. I believe it was L5 who told me that I didn't really need Psychic or Psyshock for the Roselia because Diamond Storm was just better. And I was like, okay, and it would do a bunch of damage to Roselia anyway. But yeah, it doesn't do a lot of damage, and he Giga Drains and gets all of it back. And I was like, dang, I'm gonna have issues with this Roselia. So I decided to go Mew now. As he luckily Giga Drains again and not Sludge Bombs, because Sludge Bomb would have done more damage, and if I got poisoned, it would be more annoying. But yeah, I decided to go Mew, and it decided to just click Plot here, I believe. Yep, I click Plot as he goes Swampert, and I click Psychic as he clicks Toxic, which is annoying, but not the end of the world, because we can still Healing Wish this back. And I just click Psychic again because there's no resist since the Yuxi died. And here goes Kartana, and in my head I was like, he knows this gets Vacuum Wave, right? Like, why did this come out? Maybe I was like, why didn't the Coco come out, right? Or even Zard, like, because he should have known I had some bulk, so if his Zard was Jolly, he could just go Zard and like Flare Blitz for free. I was like, I wasn't really sure why this came out, and it was like, since Blitz is coming off, like, some time away from the game, maybe he forgot Mew gets Vacuum Wave, or maybe he's thinking I'm just Psychic, one more attack and Roost for like longevity, so I don't have Vacuum Wave. So I just go for the Vacuum Wave. I really debated Psychic here, but I go for the Vacuum Wave because if we get the Kartana, then obviously it's really good. But he makes the play into Coco, which doesn't take a lot, and I take Poison. And I obviously died to the Thunderbolt, so I go into Steelix as he U-turns and gets his Zard in for free. As I said, this was the most dangerous, sequence. But I know I can live a Flare Blitz, and I wasn't sure if he was going to overheat or not. So I decided to stay in, and I believe I clicked Toxic. I decided rocks were not worth it just because this thing was already in, so I decided to put this on the timer first. And now I'm going to Cool Fish. As he just called that out, I go for DD, and I was like, okay, that's fine. I believe I just clicked Spikes and I just clicked Poison Jab trying to do damage as the Poison Jab plus Toxic is racking up. And unfortunately, EQ doesn't put us to our berry range, so I was like, okay, the next EQ is going to kill me, so I decided to just act as Cool Fish. It was mostly here for this thing. It doesn't really beat anything else at this point. So I decided to just Spike on in case he swaps, and he does, so I'm able to get up a Spike, which is nice. And here I decided to just taunt in case he decides to set up a T-Spike or something. But he just clicks Giga Drain and takes me out, so this Roselia is proving to be really, really annoying. I go into my Zera now and click Knock as he decides to sack off the Zard, which is fine. And in comes the card again. Is he makes a really nice double into Roselia as I switch into Shaman, right? Because I don't want to give the card a Beast Boost or lose my Zera for no reason. So really nice play by him. I believe I'm just going to Steelix here as he clicks Spikes as well. And then clicks Giga Drain, which is fine as I get up my rocks. And then click Roar because I can't really hit this Roselia hard enough. So I click Roar hoping to go get Coco, because if I get Coco I can actually click Roar again, or even just click Earthquake, right? It's pretty free because you get 25% damage on the Roselia even if it swaps. But unfortunately I get Kartana, but at this point I'm actually out of range of Leaf Blade, and Sacred Sword needs a really high roll to kill. And I figured since I've already shown that I'm happy to go into Shaman, and Sacred Sword would actually do nothing to Shaman, I thought he might pull another double at this point, just because he's so behind, right? We're 5-3 up. So I decided to stay in, and I believe I just clicked Earthquake or Roar. But he clicks Sacred Sword, and he gets the roll, which is a little unfortunate, but not the end of the world. Rolls are not necessarily hacks. So I was like, dang, this is a little annoying. But I can go Shaman now. I don't remember if I Healing Wished immediately. I just clicked Synth and then Healing Wish. So I was like, I don't know why I did that, because if I just clicked Healing Wish, it would actually be better because this thing would have taken 25% chip. But I click Healing Wish and go into Mew, and I still have my berry intact, so I was like, okay, I can just click Psychic. It's pretty free. Don't really need to plot at this point. He clicks Sludge Bomb. Unfortunately, gets the Poison, which is really, really annoying. But I clicked Poison again, so I was like, okay. In comes the Coco. I believe it just sack off Diancie here, expecting a Dazzle, and that's what it is. And I go into Zera here because I know I'm going to be faster. I believe Plasma Fist did not kill if it was bulky. So in my head, because I knew Kartana was likely Scarf, I thought this might be Z. Like, could still be Z Dazzle or Z Thunderbolt. Or it could be like, no, Z Dazzle or Z Thunderbolt. Maybe Z Grass Knot, but I doubt it since you showed a U turn. So I was like, this could still be Z. And I wasn't sure if this was going to be Z or Rocky Helmet or like Super Berry. So I wasn't sure what my best play was here. And I believe I just went for the pummeling, thinking that would put enough to put it in range of like Vacuum Wave. And then 2 Vacuum Waves would be able to pick up his team. Or even just like a Psychic into a Vacuum Wave would be enough if the Mew lives the poison. Because I still had my Super Berry intact. So I went for the pummeling to bring this down. But he needs to be bulkier than normal. And he is Super Berry. So there's a little unfortunate, and we died to the Dazzle. So I get that wrong. The USUM Super Berry coming into play. And here the Thunderbolt does a little too much damage, and our Mew dies to Thunderbolt plus Poison, and unfortunately we lose our first game 2-0. And I was like, oh dang, because I feel like I started really well, because we went up 5-3 at one point. But I guess sacking these Steelix was a little unfortunate. Keeping it around for the Coco, because if I keep it around, I could always like either roar to get more chip damage on like Card or Roselia, or even just like Earthquake to do like good amount of chip damage would be nice. And then obviously if I go into Shaman on the card, it takes more Rocky Helmet, so it would be at like 36, and it takes like 18% from this, so it would only have one switch in left, right? So maybe I should have kept the Steelix around, but I felt like it was winnable. Especially once I was 5-3 up, it was looking really good. And then I didn't play that well, like the end game well, and lose. So we did 0-1, which is not great. But as I said, we just need to win 2 games, and we're through, no matter differential, head-to-head, whatever. So let's jump to our week 2 second game in the group. And we're playing Jurassic Pig, who has a team of Mega Gallade, Lycanroc Dusk, Alolan Muck, Crocodile, Rotom Mill, Blacephalon, and I believe he had a Moltres and a Slowbro as well. So this is a pretty interesting team. It's like double Dark, double Fire, double Psychic. So there's a lot of like overlapping typings. And there's also like a lot of threats. I would say there's a lot of like physical threats, right? Like Glade, Dusk, Crocodile. But then Alolan Muck and Slowbro are pretty decent defensive core. Moltres can be annoying if you can keep rocks off as well. Luckily, we had a very good Blacephalon check in Hydreigon because there's no HP Fairy. So the Blacephalon can't really hit us hard, which is epic. But the Alolan Muck can definitely be annoying, especially with like the Spidef recycled set, because ground types doesn't hit it super hard. Lycanroc Dusk can obviously be super annoying as well. Glade, obviously, we have a Mew for the Glade, so Glade's not as bad, but you know, it can definitely be. There's definitely things that could maybe get out of hand if you don't like keep them in check. So let's jump to our team. Starting up, we have another Bulk Up Zera. And this time, I believe we're running just enough speed for the Glade because his team is super slow, right? Yeah, his fastest one is Mega Glade. So we're just creeping that, which means we can have a lot of bulk. We ran sub so that the substitute has like really free on the Rotom Mow, because especially if it has already click Leaf Storm, so it's at -2. Because we sub on the Rotom and it's probably going to try and Wisp or Toxic, and we sub on it, and which is great because then we can bulk up, and even if he has a Scarfer or whatever, he first needs to break the sub with something so we can get a kill, and then go into like a Scarf Trick to Revenge or whatever, or a Scarf plus Efflon, which gives us like counterplay, right? And if the sub is not broken, we get a free kill on the plus Efflon or the Crook. And we don't really need a lot of moves. Plasma Fist hits everything except like the Rotom Mow and Crook, and Drain Punch hits them both. So yeah, it's a pretty strong set here, and can definitely just sweep or like break whatever. And then lefties give us longevity, especially with sub, pairs nicely. Next up we have Mew with Groundium Z, but we're super pissed off for the Mega Glade. And we're Earthquake, U-turn, Soft Void, Foul Play. Groundium Z also has the nice benefit of not taking too much damage from knock. And it's just for like the Alone and Muck if it pivots in on Mew. So the Earthquake will do a bunch of damage. U-turn was just for like momentum and to do like decent chunk to the Rotom Mow. If the Crook decides to come in and we click U-turn, we get a good chunk of damage on that. It chips Slowbro a little bit. And Foul Play was just for like SD or bulk up Mega Glade. We can do a lot of damage to it. Foul Play also kills the Blacephalon if it decides to switch in hard. But yeah, basically it's our Mega Glade check, nothing else to it. And then Soft Bile for longevity. Next up we have Max Speed, Max Special Attack, Diancie. We just need Moonblast and Power Gem. Don't really need anything else. I debated Earth Power for a while for the Mach. But Moonblast is almost as strong. So I was like, that's fine. Rocks, because I don't have Steelix this week. And I didn't really want to put it on Mew because I felt the other moves were better. So I decided Diancie is going to be a rocker, and then Carmine just in case we get the opportunity to, because again his team is really slow, so Diancie is going to outspeed everything. Then next up we have Hydreigon with a Chilan Berry and a Super Spidef Hydreigon for the Blacephalon. The Chilan Berry is just for like Z Hyper Beam, I think, to like eat that because it did too much damage when I calced it. And Dark Pulse, Taunt, Roost, Draco Meteor, so it's just stabs. Taunt's really nice for like Slowbro trying to Thunder Wave, or like Alone and Muck trying to recycle. Even just the Rotom trying to like set screens or Wisp or something. And then Roost for longevity. So it's just here for Blacephalon. This also there's no like Fairy on his team, so Draco is unresisted. So that's really good, like it does a lot of damage. Next up we have a Rocky Helmet Shaman. It's also really fast. I'm not really sure. Oh, it's this fast to catch the Moltres with Hidden Power Rock. Sea Flare hits pretty much everything else. A Synthesis for longevity, and then Lead Seed is pretty strong as well. Once again, this is going to be like our Crook switch in, our Slowbro switch in, our Rotom Mow pivot, because we don't want to go hard Zera and take a Leaf Storm or get Will-O-Wisp. Yeah, so I figured the only switch-ins to this were like either Rotom Mow, Alone and Muck, or what's his name, Moltres. So Hidden Power Rock for the Moltres seemed pretty nice. Also, just like clicking Lead Seed on an Alone and Muck is really nice because then you can pivot easier into whatever you want. So yeah, once again, Shim is just going to be like super annoying for the team and just try to be hard to kill for the opponent. And last, we have the Coolfish with another Eye Papa Berry, max HP, max defense. This is going to be our Lycanroc Dusk switch-in. I don't think it has Psychic Banks this gen, if I'm not wrong. So I don't think it has. I think it only has Drill Run to hit Coolfish. And then we have Aqua Jet to like get chip on it if needed. Also gets chip on the Crook or Blacephalon if it comes in and has taken rocks. Poison Jab hits like the Glade, the Rotom Mow, Slowbro, Moltres, whatever wants to pivot in. Spikes, because once again, spikes are really good. Chips the Muck essentially, which is the most important. And then Taunt was also for Slowbro, I believe, and for Muck so that it can't curse or like recycle. So yeah, let's jump into the game. I decided to just lead Hydreigon, just because Draco Meteor is so free, and if he leads Glade, I have Mew to pivot in, and if he leads Dusk, I can go into Coolfish. So like, I felt like I had pivots, and the Hydra was really nice. As he leads Blacephalon, so this is perfect. I decided just fire free Draco, don't need to predict. As he goes into Muck, and it does 29, revealing he's Assault Vest. So I was like, okay, this is good. Like, this is definitely annoying at the moment, but because he cannot recover this damage, it's really good for us, so we can slowly chip this thing down. But here, I don't really have a good switch into this because I don't really want to get knocked on anything. So I decided to just go into Diancie as he clicks Poison Jab. So I was like, oh, interesting. I thought he would click Knockoff first, but Jab does a lot of damage. So I was like, oh, this thing is offensive too. Or maybe that's just normal damage and I don't know, I feel like that's a lot of damage. But I decided to just click Rocks here just to get more of a chip. As he clicks Poison Jab once again. So I was like, okay, he's just gonna click Poison Jab. He doesn't really need to swap on the Diancie if he can just take the KO. So I decided to just go into Cold Fish. If he knocks, so be it. But yeah, he clicks Poison Jab again, doesn't do a lot of damage. And I believe I pivot into Hydra now, expecting the knockoff, but he pivots into Rotom. So I was like, oh, okay. I decided to just taunt this once it reveals lefties because like I don't want any screens or defog, and I can try to judge if he's faster than me or not. So I click taunt as he reveals to be slower and also tries to click Thunder Wave. So I was like, okay, this is perfect. And now I can just fire off another Draco, I believe. Oh, I fired for Dark Pulse this time, just in case he wanted to like Volt Switch so I can get some chip on it. Also figure out the spread. So I click Dark Pulse, it only does 9, but the Mach does take 12% from rocks, which is big. So as you can see, this thing's getting chipped down. I decided to Draco again, get 31%, which is really nice. So after another rocks, like a Dark Pulse will kill this. Obviously, if the next Draco doesn't kill, it would only do 15. So I was like, that's a little annoying. As he clicks Power Up Punch, and I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, since I don't kill, I don't really want to take like a gunk or something, or a Poison Jab even, +1 jab. So I decided to just go into Cold Fish and Intimidate it. As he clicked Explosion, so I was like, oh, okay. But we have a berry and we just go back to full, so I was like, okay, that's nice. The Mach is gone, which is 1 pivot less for him because AV Mach was his main pivot. In comes the Rotom now, and I can just go into Shaman pretty safely. I don't really care about anything this has to do. As he clicks Defog, which is a little annoying, but not the end of the world. And I decided to just click Seed Flare. If he wants to swap, he would have to take damage. Otherwise, I can just try to get like a Spidef drop on him or just chip him down a little. I do get the Spidef drop as he Volt Switches. It goes into Bless Epsilon, so this is obviously a scary combo. I decided to go into Hydra as he clicks Overheat and misses, which is a little unfortunate for him. I don't know if it was his best click. Maybe it was, like, just to get off a strong Overheat. I don't know if 2 Overheats killed me because we're so, like, super bulky. But I decided to just click Roost here anyway, just to get back to full. So just because the Overheat scared me a little bit, and I wanted to be super healthy for it. And now I believe I just clicked Dark Pulse because just to try and get chip on this. I thought about Draco, but I figured he might just Volt Switch, so I can Dark Pulse, and he'll probably go like Crook or whatever, and then I can swap. As he clicks Volt Switch, and he goes into Gallade, so I was like, okay, perfect, I have Mew for this. As he Mega Evolves, clicks Psycho Cut, which doesn't do anything, and I can just click off a free U-turn here. Oh, actually, I just go for the Foul Play. I guess in case you wanted to stay in a knockoff or like X-Scissor or something, Foul Play seemed free. As he goes into Crook, reveals not to be intimidated, but this means I can just go into Shaman pretty safely. As it clicks Knockoff, does a good chunk of damage, but the next one won't kill us, so I can just safely Synthesis back to a good amount of health. In comes the Rotom. I can just Seed Flare this again for chip. Get the drop again as he Volt Switches. Gets a crit, doesn't matter. It goes back into Bliss Epsilon, so we pivot back into our Spidef Hydra as he clicks the Z Never-Ending Nightmare, which doesn't do a lot of damage. So I was like, okay, the Overheat definitely missing there. Probably didn't kill our Hydra because it just, I don't know. But this is also good information to note because since he's the Z move, this means the Diancie is faster. So I was like, okay, that's good to know. I believe I just clicked Roost here in case he would swap. Oh, I just clicked Draco because Draco seemed free in case he wanted to pivot into Crook or Glade. Now that I know this is not like, what do you call it? Not faster than Dynasty. This thing is not as much a threat, which also means Zera is faster than this. So I decided just click Draco as it clicks HP, and it's super effective. So I'm guessing it's either fighting or I don't know, ice maybe. And then it clicks Shadow Ball, takes us out, gets a special attack boost. So I was like, okay, I can just go Dynasty, Mega Evolve, and click Moonblast, take this out. In comes Crocodile, kind of screaming its Scarf, so I just go into Shaman as he clicks Earthquake, doesn't do a lot of damage. I think I just click Synthesis just to be as healthy as possible for the Scarf Croc. I click Sea Flare again, does a good chunk of damage. As he clicks Thunder Wave, and then he clicks Light Screen, and I was like, oh, hold up, this thing has revealed Thunder Wave, Defog, Wall Switch, Light Screen, which means this is completely walled by my Zera Aura. It can't do anything. So I decided to go hard Zera Aura, expecting a Volt Switch. As he clicks Thunder Wave, so I was like, okay, this works still, and I just click Sub because he is forced to switch out since he doesn't have a way of doing anything to my Zera Aura. So in comes the Crook, and because he's not Intimidate, I can just safely click Drain Punch as it reveals to be Scarf. But I can click Drain Punch, get the KO, get back to full health. In comes Lycanroc Dusk, and I didn't want him to SD up. So I figured just clicking Drain Punch was better. And even if he kills us with Stone Edge or like Drill Run Crit or whatever, I have Quillfish with Aqua Jet to kind of pick this off. So I figured to just Drain Punch as he does click Excel Rock, which does a lot of damage, but we're able to Drain Punch and get almost all of it back. Unfortunately, we don't kill though, it lives on 2%, but I was like, it's not the end of the world. We take another Excel Rock. But again, as I said, not a huge deal. In comes Gallade. I decided to just stay in and click Plasma Fist to do as much damage to this as possible. As I click CC, it takes us out. I was like, okay, not the end of the world. I could just go Mew and click Foul Play as it goes into Rotom. But I just click U-turn here to take this thing out and go into Coolfish. And here, just click Jab in case he wants to set up or do anything. As he clicks Psycho Cut, takes us out, but I can go back into Mew and just click Foul Play and take this thing out to win our game 3-0. Pretty solid win. Obviously, there's the Overheat miss, but I don't really think it mattered too much. But maybe it did. Maybe he gets the Hydra dead there. But I feel like since he was not faster than Zera or Diancie, at least it wouldn't be that much of a problem to like revenge. But obviously, if the Hydra goes down, then the Rotom Volt Switch into Blacephalon becomes super scary. So we'd have to play around that. But other than that, it was a pretty clean game. I think our build was pretty solid. So yeah, nice win. We're 1-1. We need to win our next group game to make it out of groups. And we were up against somebody named Terminal, who has a team of Mew, Zera Aura, so Mew, Zera Mirror, Keldeo, Gliscor, Dragonite, and Aromatisse. And I believe he had a Ferrothorn in a Lickitung. So a little surprising not to see the Ferrothorn. But let's jump into our team. We have a Combine, Zera Aura, we have max HP, max speed, just because they have a Zera 2. Fightinium Z to hit the opposing Zera as hard as possible. And then Thunderbolt and HP Ice hits pretty much everything pretty hard. Thunderbolt hits the Keldeo, HP Ice for the 2 4 and 2 Ice weak mons. And I didn't really think the Aromatisse would come, so I was like, I don't really hit the Aromatisse that hard, but you know, it's okay. And then Focus Blast would also hit the Ferrothorn, which is super nice. Next up, we have a Choice Scarf Hydreigon. I believe we were just creeping Dragonite with our speed, and we're running U-Turn, Draco Meteor, Dark Pulse, and Defog. Scarf Hydra is a good way of revenging +1 Dragonite. Also helps us revenge like Zera Aura if needed. Also does good damage to like a setup Mew if it was like Nasty Plur or something. Because I don't think he would run Vacuum Wave just for the Hydreigon here. And Defog was just in case he got too many spikes up because he has a Ferrothorn. and U-turn just for like pivoting momentum, you know. And if the aromatase comes, which would be the most likely switch in, we can U-turn out to get some like momentum. Next up, we have Mega Diancie with enough speed to outspeed Keldeo, max pressure attack, and we have Moonblast, HP Fire, Magnet Rise, and Calm Mind. He doesn't have a Moonblast resist other than the Ferrothorn, which we have HP Fire for. And so we decided Calm Mind was really strong here, especially like you Calm Mind on a Scarf Keldeo locked into like Secret Sword or something. Yeah, and Magnet Rise is just because I don't think the Gliscor can hit the Diancie at all if it Magnet Rises. So I figured that was a pretty like easy way of just Magnet Rise and getting a free Calm Mind because Gliscor might just try to Earthquake it. I don't think Gliscor should fear HP Ice in this matchup when there's a Ferrothorn, which kind of screams that you need HP Fire. So I figured the Gliscor would just try to stay in an either U-turn or like Earthquake. And if you Magnet Rise, then Earthquake becomes useless, right? So that was the plan behind Magnet Rise. Next up, we have Mew, which is super... I don't know why it's Fizz Def. But with Toxic, Roost, Ice Beam, and Psychic. I guess it was Fizz Def for the Gliscor / Dragonite. Ice Beam hits the 2, 4, and 2 weak mons, and then Psychic basically hits everything. And then Toxic is nice for the Mew. And then Roost for longevity. Leftovers also gives some passive recovery, which is really nice. Helps us with some rolls. Psychic also hits the Keldeo pretty hard. We don't really hit Ferrothorn, but we're not really going to stay in on Ferrothorn, I think. Next up, we have Steelix for the Chocolate Berry. Chocolate Berry is for the Zeraora. Stealth Rock, Toxic, Earthquake, Gyro Ball. Rocks, because Rock's broken. Also breaks Dragonite's Multiscale. Toxic, once again, just really nice for Mew or even Zera. Keldeo if it hard switches in. Gliscor is the more likely switch in, but we don't hit Gliscor hard anyway, so it's kind of tough. Earthquake just to hit the Zera as hard as possible, and then Gyro Ball was just to hit the Dragonite in case it tries to set up on us. I debated Roar on it, but if they had Defog too, I felt like Roar was not getting us much progress. I just went with Gyro Ball. And then last, we have another Shaman with super bulky. This is going to be like our Keldeo switch in, but I also kind of wanted to be fast. I don't remember what the speed was for. I think it was just like creeping Adamant Dragonite. Yeah. Energy Ball, just because I didn't want to run out of PP here. Because like Gliscor could get annoying, and like Sea Flare missing would be kind of annoying. HP Fire to hit the Ferrothorn, Toxic again to hit like basically everything I don't hit, and then Synthesis for longevity. So yeah, that's a team. Let's jump into it. I decided to just lead Mew as he leads Keldeo, so I was like, okay, perfect. We've gotten the lead right once again, or basically we've gotten the lead right all 3 games. But anyway, Mew seems pretty strong into this team because there's no Ferrothorn, right? So I don't hit Ferrothorn. Everything else I can either hit or Toxic. So it seemed pretty free. No Ferrothorn was definitely surprising. So yeah, in comes Keldeo. I didn't expect him to stay in, so I just clicked Toxic as the Aromatase comes in. And I believe it just goes Steelix on this in case it decides to click like Toxic or Heal Bell. So I was like, okay, nice. I can just get up my rocks as he clicks Wish and goes into Keldeo. I just pivot into Shaman as he clicks Hydro and misses. A little unfortunate, but I'm pretty sure we chew that and we can Synthesis up. And like no combination of Hydro Pump into like Icy Wind was going to kill us anyway, so it was like fine. In comes Aromatase, and I believe I tried to click another Toxic expecting Dragonite, but in comes the Aromatase, so I just go back into Steelix as it clicks another Wish, and I believe I clicked I doubled into Mew expecting the Gliscor to come out now. As it does, gets the Wish, gets its Toxic Orb, but I can now fire off an Ice Beam. And I also realized at this point that this Gliscor is a little annoying because I don't really kill it that fast, but obviously Zera can HP Ice it and Mew has Ice Beam, so it's not the end of the world, but it can definitely just basically neutralize my Shaman and my Steelix. Alright, one second. This music is a little loud. Alright, there we go. So yeah, here I decided just stay in and click Psychic, expecting another Wish. So I was like, Psychic plus Toxic is going to rack up. As he does click Wish, I believe it clicks Psychic again, as it does click Protect. But the Toxic is racking up, so the Wishes are not going to help him out. So I click another Psychic as the Mew comes in. I click Toxic as it reveals Nasty Plot, so I was like, okay, that's fine. This is my Mew counter, so I was like, I'll just Ice Beam. The plot is a little scary. So I'll just click Ice Beam to try and get chip on this as much as possible so that Hydra can revenge it with Dark Pulse, even if it is Culver Berry. But it will just be Life Orb, so I was like, okay, that's good. Because we get more chip on it, like Life Orb plus Toxic plus this Ice Beam. So it's basically going to be a Mew for Mew trade, which I was completely fine with. Like, this is obviously one of our ways of dealing with Gliscor and Dragonite maybe, but since we also got Toxic, then I don't have Heal Bell on my team. This Mew is not going to do as much work as it had done in the first like 12 turns. So I decided just like Mew for Mew, which is fine. His Mew is definitely like a more scary set because of his plot, so getting rid of it is huge. I go Diancie now as he goes there, and I just go hard Steelix as he clicks Full Switch. So I was like, okay, this works out. I try to click Earthquake as he goes Gliscor. Little annoying that we don't have a good switch into this, so I decided to go Shaman as I believe he clicked U-turn. Goes into Dragonite, so I was like, okay, I'm just going to click Toxic on this in case he wants to Dragon Dance. I click Toxic, he reveals to be Lum, and I was like, oh dang, this is a little scary. We try to click Toxic again as he roosts, and I miss, which obviously a little annoying. But I click Toxic again. Also, the reason I'm staying in is because the only way this thing can hit me is Fly. It doesn't really get any physical flying move. So I figured the most likely Dragonite set here was DD, Dragon Claw, Earthquake. Which means my Shaman can actually stay in on this and Synthesis stall this after a while. So, especially if I didn't miss that Toxic, like, this thing would be a lot lower and he would have to start Dragon Clawing. As you can see, it does 77, and I call that and click Synth. And I was like, yeah, like, that's what I expected. Like, this Shaman is so hard to, like, break. And this one's not even, like, max Fist Def, right? It's just max HP and some defense. And it's still, like, able to 1v1 a Dragonite, which is insane. So, I figured I would just synth up one more time. So I get back to, like, a good amount of health, 65. And I was like, here, I make an aggressive switch. I've shown him that, like, for 5 turns, my Shaman has in on that Dragonite. And I've shown him that I'm willing to stay in. So I make the really aggressive play of going hard Diancie on an expected Dragon Claw. As I am able to, so I don't take any damage from this and get a huge amount of toxic damage off, which is really nice. And here, expecting his last move to be Earthquake so that he's not walled by Steelix and Diancie, right? Like, he could be Liquidation maybe, but whatever he has to hit or Iron Head or whatever, actually, he cannot be Iron Head because then he's walled by Steelix, right? So it's like, whatever move he has to hit the Diancie is not gonna be what that can hit Hydra hard, unless he's superpowered for some reason, which seems really unlikely. And he's obviously not gonna click Dragon Claw into a Diancie. So I decided to pivot Hydra on this turn as he clicks Earthquake. So, you know, I'm looking like a god with all these plays right now. And here, I've debated going back into Diancie, but I also didn't want Diancie to take damage because it was one of my ways of beating Gliscor. So I decided to just go into the Steelix, the safer pivot. As he does click Dragon Claw, he doesn't make the prediction. And the Dragonite goes down to Toxic, which is huge. In comes Keldeo. I just go back into Shaman as he clicks Hydro Pump. And only does 23%. So as I said, that Hydro miss, like turn 2 or whatever, didn't matter. Like, Icy Wind wasn't even gonna barely do anything. So I can synth up to get back to a good amount of health now as the Gliscor comes in again. And I realized I don't have good switch-ins to this, so I decided to just stay in and click Energy Ball. As it does a decent amount of damage, but he clicks Toxic, which is a little annoying, so I just pivot out into I actually pivot into Diancie because I expected a U-turn to come out, basically, because Gliscor's not clicking Earthquake into a Shaman, right? So I figured this Diancie pivot was actually okay, expecting the U-turn. But he actually clicks Defog, so I was like, okay, it's a little annoying, not the end of the world. But I decided to stay in. I did decide not to Mega Evolve. Because I figured he's either clicking Earthquake or U-turn, right? He has U-turn, Toxic, Defog. So his last move is either like Earthquake or Roost. And I figured I could just Calm Mind safely in my regular form without Mega Evolving. Because U-turn was likely, so if I Magnetize on a U-turn, it's kind of annoying because I'm forced to switch out as the Keldeo comes in. So I figured I'd just keep my bulk for now and just click Calm Mind. As that's what's happened as he goes into Ermatis. And here I decide to Mega Evolve and click Moonblast. But it lives on 1%, a little annoying, so I don't get the kill for Diancie. But it clicks Wish and dies Toxic, so I was like, okay, that's fine. In comes Keldeo, and I decided not to risk the Hydra, so I just go into Shaman. He gets the Wish back, but it doesn't really matter at this point because it was full anyway. And here, expecting him to go Gliscor, I make the Hydra pivot. And once again, if he's Earthquake on this set, he doesn't have Roost. So if I click Draco, which doesn't have a resist at this point, the damage is going to stick for a while, right? And if he has Roost, then he can only U-turn, which is not going to do a lot, so I still get to fire off a strong Draco. So I made this Hydra pivot, and then just fire off the Draco to get damage on this, as it does 60%, which is decent. As it clicks U-turn, does a good amount of damage, and goes into Zera. And I can go back into Steelix as he does click the Calm Mind this time, which is a little scary. I decided to click Earthquake as he goes for the raw Focus Blast instead of clicking the Z. He was Z. And I can get it. Like, Choppel is pretty likely on the Steelix, so he wanted to break it and then Z to get the kill. But he misses, unfortunately. That's the risk of Focus Blast. And we're able to do 82%, which is really good because this means Scarf Hydra U-turn kills this, so we don't even have to predict. And he clicks Focus Blast again, and we live. And I just Gyro Ball in case the Gliscor decided to come in, so I could get more chip on it. And we're able to Gyro Ball to take out the Zera. I think if he Z'd, I don't know if it killed. I don't know if it did 26% more. Maybe it did, I don't remember. But if he Z'd, then he was kind of walled by Shaman. And so he wanted to save the Z for the Shaman, which makes sense. So once again, Shaman proving to be, a super annoying Pokemon. Yeah, in comes the Keldeo. I believe it just sacked off the Steelix at this point. I think I clicked Toxic. Yeah, as he clicked Secret Sword. So I was like, okay, this is fine. Secret Sword now becomes Diancie, so I can just fire for free Moonblast. As he Secret Swords and decides to sack off the Keldeo. So I was like, okay. He didn't really have a play there, because if he swapped into Gliscor, that dies anyway. And if he's Scarf and decides to lock into like a water move, then Shaman wins, even Hydra. And then so he could only lock into a fighting move, but the fighting move didn't kill Diancie. So it was basically GG. And yeah, I can click Moonblast, pick up the Gliscor, and we win 4-0. He's a little upset about the miss, and I get it, like, because he wanted to save the Z for the Shaman. I don't think it killed, because I say it like Ice Scarf, Hydra, U-turn. But he could have obviously preserved it. He could go Gliscor if he wanted, or he could go Keldeo on the Hydra. But I think Gliscor was most likely because the Draco is also pretty free because he didn't have a resist. So if he goes Gliscor, I just U-turn, go Diancie, get a kill. So I, remove a sack, which is epic. But yeah, a little annoying for him. So that happens though with Focus Blast. But we're able to win. And we're now 2-1, which means we make it to next round, which is epic. and I'll be back with our next, like, a round 2 game in a bit. Hey guys, we're back for a round 2 game, and we're up against someone whose username is Freaky Dude. And he has a team of Garchomp, Serena, Tapafini, Metagross, Crafty, Salazzle. And he had a Zapdos and a Wobbuffet on the bench, and his Emons are Garchomp and Salazzle. Pretty scary team. It's like a Garchomp, obviously one of the best mons in the format. Zapdos, I think, is fantastic in every gen, so it's pretty good in USUM. A little surprised to see it benched. Salazzle was actually a huge problem. Hard to switch in, obviously with Corrosion, even just generally, and Z-Move also makes it pretty threatening. Tapu Fini, definitely annoying and hard to break. Metagross is a pretty solid dynasty check, because even if it's chipped, it can always bullet punch. Crafty is a pretty solid pivot as well, and it can knock off Super Fang, be annoying. And Serena is a pretty good spinner. And an okay-ish Zeraora check. So let's jump into our team. We're a pretty interesting set. We are Zeraora with no item because we have acrobatics, and we pretty much max attack, enough speed for the Salazzle. And I believe that's Naughty is minus Bidef, if I'm not wrong. And with Plasma Fist, Hidden Power Ice, World Cup, Acrobatics. So Plasma Fist hits basically everything except Chomp and Serena, right? And for Serena, we have Acrobatics. And at that World Cup, you're able to get a free World Cup, like if you get it on a Tapu Fini or something. The World Cup can actually be pretty strong because we do a lot of damage to the Serena with Acrobatics at +1. And Hidden Power Ice was just for the Garchomp as well, like a +1 HP Ice is pretty strong into it. So yeah, pretty interesting set. I think it puts in a lot of work, this set. Acrobatics also covers this Crafty, because Close Combat's actually not super good into this team. Because there's a Fini, there's a Salazzle, Zapdos, Wobbuffet. So I figured this was better. And I considered last move to be, Volt Switch, in case the Wobbuffet comes, and so I can Volt Switch out instead of being trapped. But I decided World Cup might just have more sweeping/breaking potential. So I went with that. Next up, we have an Electrum Z Mew, pretty bulky once again. And Combine, Bolt Beam, Soft Boil. +1 Thunderbolt actually does a decent chunk of damage to the Metagross and Crafty. Obviously, with the Z-Move, Knockoff does less damage. Ice Beam does a lot of damage to Serena and Chomp. And then the Z-Move was so that if the Wobbuffet comes and traps us, right? We can just spam Combine on it, even as it encores, but because of how Z-Moves work, I can break out of it at any point in Z Thunderbolt. The Wobbuffet, which would be really nice, so I'm not locked into Encore. So I figured that was pretty good, and it just seemed like Bolt Beam coverage seemed really, really strong into this team. Especially because he has the Fini, so I don't know if he would bring Toxic on his mons to try and slow down Mew. So yeah, this Mew also pretty interesting. It can sweep or just break as well once again. Because a lot of his team doesn't have reliable recovery, it has to rely on Super Berries or what do we call it? It's just lefties, because only Serena has recovery and Zapdos, but Zapdos can't really touch this set as well unless it has Toxic. So that's really nice. Next up, we have Shaman, Max HP, Max Vista for the Garchomp. Lefties to help with rolls as well. And Seed Flare, Synthesis, Toxic, and Lead Seed. Seed Flare is pretty nice in general. The Toxic was for the Zapdos if it came. Seemed pretty strong. Synthesis for longevity, and then Lead Seed also just seems pretty free, right? Because I don't know if the Serena... the Serena is not going to be able to do a lot to us, especially if it's Vista for the Zera. So, if it comes in on the leech, so be it. But otherwise, Shaman also really good into Tapu Fini. So that's really nice. And then with lead seed, we can also like check Metagross, right? Like Metagross not going to do a lot of damage to us. Next up, we have Mega Diancie, enough speed for the Garchomp. We combine 3 attacks, so another basic Diancie set. Moonblast, Earth Power, Power Gem. Moonblast hits everything except the Metagross and Salazzle, which the Earth Power hits. And then Power Gem hits the Zapdos a little harder, which is nice. Next up, we have Steelix with an Aqua Berry and pretty Fizdef, so I guess that's for the Metagross. It's a main Metagross switch in. The Aqua Berry was just for the Salazzle, because Salazzle's kind of annoying, so we can stay in and Earthquake it. It also works for this Zapdos because we can stay in and Toxic it, which is also pretty huge. Getting Zapdos on the timer is really nice. And also Zapdos is not protected by the Misty Terrain, so Toxic is not even hard of a click there. And then Rocks, because Rocks are good. And then Roar, just in case anything tries to set up, we can always roar him out. Next up, we have Quillfish with another I Papa Berry. Super Speed, so this is our Tapu Fini and Salazzle check. Poison Jab hits the Fini, hits the Serena, Spikes, because again, a lot of his team doesn't have recovery, right? So Spikes plus Rocks damage really racks up, which is really nice. Haze is just again for the Fini or like a Bulk Up Scrafty. And then Aqua Jet is just to pick off a Salazzle. So yeah, let's jump into the game. I'd say lead with Mega Diancie, I think. Yeah, because I wanted to maybe get off my Mega early, and it leads pretty nicely into most of his team, right? Except Metagross and like Serena. Obviously Fini too, but I felt like I had switch-ins if needed. So I think Diancie, as he leads Metagross, and I immediately have to swap into Steelix. As he just clicks Meteor Mash, doesn't do a lot of damage, so I can just get up my Rocks as we trade Rocks here. And here, I believe I just click Roar, right? Yep. Because I figured his Metagross would not want to take Chip when it's his Diancie resistance. So I figured he was going to swap out, and Roar just seems super free to get like more Chip on something. So the Roar brings in Crafty, and this was a little annoying because I didn't want to get knocked off, so I just decided to go into Quillfish. Because again, I didn't really have a good switch into this. Maybe I could have gone Diancie, but again, I didn't want to take a high jump kick, right? So I decided just going to Quillfish as he clicks knockoff, and it does a lot of damage. So I was like, oh, this thing is offensive, so I have to be careful of like Dragon Dance. But here, I believe it just clicks Spike because of the, what do you call it? The intent. Like I can haze if he tries to DD, so I just decided to just click Spikes as he goes into Serena, which I was like, huh? Because poison is strong versus grass. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna jab. If you want to spin, you can spin, but I'm not gonna let you spin for free. It does half, which is like really good, and I get the poison, which is huge. As he clicks Power Up and takes us out, so I was like, oh, is this offensive or is Quillfish just bad? And then I realized I was Spidef, not Fizdef, so I was like, okay, this kind of makes sense. But because of the poison, this means he cannot swap out without like trying to synthesis, because the Rocks plus X will kill him. So I was like, okay, I can just go Diancie and pick up the skill. I know he's lefties, so he's not Cuss Tap or Scarf. And I decided to just click Moonblast. Basically, the idea was if I go Diancie and force him out, it dies unless Fini defogs, I guess. And if he stays in because he dies to hazards, then I just get the kill and I get my Mega off, which is nice. In comes the Fini. Here I debated just staying in and clicking Calm Mind. But I figured Scarf was maybe a possibility. So I decided to not risk it and just go into Shaman. But he calls that and clicks Defog, so I can play by him, and that's a little annoying. But it's not the end of the world, because Serena is gone, I can actually just click Lead Seed super freely. And I just pivot into my Steelix expecting Rocks. And I decide to get up my own Rocks as he goes back into Fini, so I can pivot back into Shaman. As he clicks Nature's Madness, good play by him, but again, it's not enough unless he's faster, and he's not, so I can just click Synthesis again as he goes Metacross. I think this was a misplay by him. He should have gone hard Salazzle, I think. Because Metacross is actually not going to do anything to Shaman. So this is more of a defensive play, but again, I feel like he had to understand that I was forced to click Synthesis because I don't want to be low. So, yeah, I click Lead Seed. It's not going to do any damage. And Metagross is just getting chipped. And he had decided to just click Seed Flare to get more chip on him, but he goes Feeny for some reason. So I get a good chunk of damage off on it. And I believe I click Seed Flare again just to try and take it out. In comes the Metagross, takes a good chunk. But I can click Lead Seed again as he clicks Meteor Mash. And as you can see, only this 29. So Shaman's just so broken. As I said, it's so annoying for him to kill. I click another Lead Seed. I believe I click Seed Flare. As in comes the Salazzle. And yeah, this is scary for sure, right? I don't have a good fire resist. So I decided to just go into my Steelix as he clicks Overheat and just cooks us because he gets the crit but takes us out. I believe this was spec, so I don't think it really mattered, like the crit. But I was like, okay, I can just go Zera and I can just fire off. I didn't think he was spec, so I figured, oh, -2, so it's not going to do a lot, so I can just click Work Up freely. As he goes hard Garchomp, so I was like, oh, dang, okay. Here, I didn't want to risk like Scarf or Yachi, so I decided to just pivot into Shaman. As he switches out, and I was like, oh, he's not Scarf because I switched out first, so I was like, that's good to know. As he sends out Shaman, I guess expecting the HP Ice. But here I can just fire off a Seed Flare, and I miss as he clicks Nature's Madness. And I was like, okay, I believe it just clicked Synth again. So as he clicked Moon Blast, and I was like, okay, that's better. Because now if I hit the Seed Flare, I'll be at 85%, which is still a good amount of health. Yep. In comes the Salazzle again, another Overheat coming out, so I just go Diancie. As the Overheat does 57, so I was like, dang. But I decided to save the Diancie because I know the Garchomp is not Scarf, so I can always save it for a Moonblast hit on it. Also because the Metagross can't switch in, right? So if I get in Diancie for free and Chomp or Scrafty, I should have a kill. So because he's -2, I decided to go into Mew. But this Overheat still does 41. This is when I thought, oh, maybe this is Specs because that's too much damage. But I just click Soft Boil here because he's -4. And here I just click Thunderbolt to take out the Metagross. I clicks Bullet Punch. Against the crit, doesn't really matter. In comes the Chomp. And I don't know why I switched with my Mew. I could have just maybe fired off an Ice Beam. But he clicks Sub, and I was like, oh, dang, this is scary, right? Like, because I can miss Seed Flare, and this could definitely be a problem. So I click Seed Flare as I click Swords Dance. Luckily, I hit, so I was like, okay, phew. But he only has Stone Edge, which also I'm not sure why he has Stone Edge. Earthquake and Dragon Claw hits my whole team, I think. So, not sure what the Stone Edge is for. It doesn't really hit anything on my team. So I was like, I just click Seed Flare again, and I miss. I was like, dang, please Stone Edge don't crit. It doesn't, so I can click Seed Flare again, get a good chunk of damage. And now I can also know if he's Cuss Tap, he's not. So I can just go into Zera, click HP Ice, pick this off, even if he's Yachi, he'll die. So I was like, that's good. In comes Crafty, and I was like, I know this is offensive, I'm not going to let you set up. So I just click Acro. As he clicks DD, and I was like, okay, that's fine. Because I'm creeping Salazzle, this means I'm also still faster than this, because this can only hit 354. So I believe I just clicked Plasma Fist 2 times and win the game. I clicked Acro again, didn't need to, but yeah, it's GG at this point. I'm faster than this. So I just decided to end the game with Acro because, you know, cool prep, gotta show it off. And we win our game 3-0. I don't think there was any hacks. I missed a couple of Seed Flares and he could overheat, so I guess technically I got hacks, but yeah, it was pretty clean. I think it was pretty solid. Prep was really good. I think this Zera set was really good. I put Acro last minute, and it really paid off. Like, it was against Serena and the Scrafty, which is really nice. And yeah, we move on to round 3, which I will be back with in a bit. Alright, we're back with the round 3 game. We're up against somebody named Xenias, who has a pretty scary team of Excadrill, Tyranitar, Tangrowth, Mega Pidgeot, Kyurem, and Diglett. Uh, they had a Mew and a Toxapex on the bench, and I'm not really sure why that didn't come, and the Diglett came instead. Maybe they wanted to be funny if they could get a kill with Diglett. But Mew and Toxapex were definitely more scary for the team. Also, the Excadrill is Z, and so is the Mew, which didn't come. And this matchup is really annoying, right? Because Shaman has been really good, but it can't synthesis in Sand. It only recovers 25, which is a little annoying. So you're forced to click Rest, but when you click Rest, you give your opponent a free switch in because you're forced to swap out, right? And that's super annoying. In this case, Shaman is needed absolutely for Excadrill, which otherwise destroys the team otherwise. But there's also have two of the best switch-ins to Shaman in Kyurem and Mega Pidgeot. And that makes this really scary. And we don't have the best switch-ins to Kyurem because our Steel does not resist Ice, so we don't have an Ice resist on the team. And we don't have the best Flying resist. Like, we have a couple of Flying resist, but they take a lot of damage still, which cannot be recovered as easily. So this is definitely a super tricky matchup. Obviously, with the Diglett, it's a little easier, I think, because Diglett's not really a Pokemon. But if you can imagine if this Diglett was a Mew, this could definitely be scary. In fact, I think this, if you just best the Kyurem for Toxapex and Mew, this team would have been super scary. But anyway, let's jump into our team. We have leftover Zera, pretty bulky for the so that we can pivot into Pidgeot Hurricanes. We substitute Plasma Fist, Drain Punch, and Toxic. Substitute is because once we get in our Zera in on Pidgeot, it's most likely going to switch out, which means if we get a sub off, we can get a Toxic off on Tankrut behind the sub safely, or like be a Mew or whatever, or if it goes like hard T-Tar to sack or something and we sub, then we can Drain Punch the T-Tar, and then Excadrill can revenge us as easily, which is also nice. So yeah, basically that's the idea, and then Plasma Fist hits, just stab, hits everything hard, and then Drain Punch hits the Sand Core. Also gives us some longevity, and then Toxic is just for the Tank Growth, which I expect to be the most likely Zera switch-in. Next up, we have Mega Diancie with Rock Polish, Calm Mind, Moonblast, and Earth Power. It's just pretty well here. His only resist is Excadrill, which is a sweeper. So if Sand is not up, I don't know if Excadrill will be up versus Diancie, which means it's going to be pretty strong otherwise. Especially if we can get a Rock Polish off. We can definitely sweep if the Tank Growth is chipped. Can try to set up on Toxapex. Obviously, Pex can have Haze or Scald can do a lot, but if we can time our Earth Powers right with our Calm Minds, because once we click Earth Power, he's also forced to recover. So if you get those sequences predictions right, then Toxapex also doesn't really check us, so that can be good. Yeah, Diancie, I mean, it hits pretty hard, so it's just the usual. And it can do a lot of damage, which is good. So Calm Mind just felt nice. Shaman just max HP, max defense with the Excadrill. Rest because we can't heal a lot with Synthesis and Sand. Seed Flare because Seed Flare is broken. Air Slash was for the Tank Growth, and then Protect was just to get lefties. It can also stall out Sand, and it covers Z-move from Excadrill. So I figured that was really nice just to stall turns, as well as if he clicks the Z move into Protect, it's really good. Next up, we have Beginnium Z Mew with max HP, basically max attack, enough speed for Jolly T-Tar. And we're running Bulk Up, Drain Punch, Leech Life, and Zen Headbutt. Drain Punch hits the Sand Core plus Cure. Leech Life hits the Mew and Tangrowth. And with the making it Savage Spin Out, it's going to do a lot of damage to the opposing Mew and Tangrowth. I believe it picks up the KO at +1. Not on Tangrowth, but on Mew for sure. And then Zen Headbutt was just to hit the Pidgeot harder and hit the Toxapex as well. I was pretty proud of this set. I think Bulk Up Me was just really strong into Sand, and it's just really strong here as well because it has the coverage it needs. Next up, we have Hydreigon with a Choice Scarf. Choice Scarf, just in case I figured if Kyurem comes, it might most likely be Scarf. It's also another good way of dealing with the Pidgeot because you can't miss like Draco versus it. And when Sand runs out, it also helps versus like Sand Mold Breaker Drill if it comes for some reason, like Scarf Mold Breaker. Dark Pulse Draco, so just stab, U-turn, and Defog. Defog was again like if Toxapex said T-Spikes because we're not bringing Quillfish. So yeah, and U-turn was just to get like momentum because T-Tar is a pretty good switch into Hydra, so if you can U-turn on it and get in like Zera or even Mew, it can be really nice. And then last, we have a Custap-Berry Steelix, which is our dedicated lead. We're super offensive. And we're running Stealth Rock, Gyro Ball, Earthquake, and Toxic. So the goal is to set up Rocks turn 1. And the Spadef... I don't remember what the Spadef was for. But basically, Heatwave puts us in like Custap range. Choice Specs Ice Beam puts us in Custap range. And then we can fire off a strong Gyro Ball to do damage. Earthquake also can do damage, and then Toxic was for the Tangrowth if you can maybe poison it. So yeah, let's jump into the game. As I said, Steelix was the dedicated lead as he leads Pidgeot. I click Rocks as he clicks Heatwave. And here, as I said, this was a super aggressive lead, so I was just going to click Gyro Ball no matter what. If the Tangrowth comes in, it comes in. Like, I just try to Toxic it after. But yeah, I click Gyro Ball as it goes Excadrill, so I was like, this still does a good amount of damage, which is really good because this means Diancie, Earth Power, and Hydra Dark Pulse are going to do more damage, which is good. And here, in case you wanted to spin a Rocks, set Rocks, I decided just click Earthquake. I was like, not going to switch. But he clicks Earthquake and takes us out. Actually, sorry, I should say they because I don't actually know their pronouns. So, but yeah, click Earthquake, take us out, which is fine. I can just go into Mew here because Sand is not up, and I believe it just clicked Bulk Up, wanting to see what the response would be. As I go hard Pidgeot, so I was like, oh, it's a little annoying. I don't really want to take a Hurricane, especially if to get the confusion. And then I hit myself in confusion. It was a little annoying. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to go Zera. As the Hurricane comes out, it doesn't do a lot. As you can see, only 28%. They do get the confusion, which is a little annoying, but I can just freely click sub here, expecting the Tangrowth to come out. And that's what happens, and I decide to click Toxic now, but unfortunately hit myself in confusion, and they do have Earthquake, which is a little annoying, and I was like, dang, I have to swap out now. So I go into Shaman on a Focus Blast, which doesn't do a lot of damage anyway, and I decide to just click Seed Flare. But it reveals to be Assault Vest Tangrowth, so I was like, dang, I'm not gonna beat this thing. And I was like, maybe I should put Toxic on Shaman so I could put this on the timer too. But I click Sludge Bomb, which does decent damage, but not a lot. So I believe I clicked Seed Flare again. Yep. As the current comes in, takes Rocks, and does a decent chunk from Seed Flare. And here's where I was like, oh dang, I don't have an Ice Resist, but I can't really sack the Shaman because Excadrill's around. So I just go hard into Diancie. As it clicks Ice Beam, and it does 44. So I was like, okay, this is really good because I can actually, if he's Scarf and I'm Mega, I'll die. But if he is Scarf and I stay in regular and Moonblast, I'll be able to pick him off. And I get to keep my Diancie. I can then Mega Evolve it later. And I forget that was the better play because I felt like Kyurem, if you bring here, should be Scarf because I don't have an Ice Resist, and then Scarf Kyurem can like revenge Zera outside of Sand, revenge Diancie. So I figured Scarf is the more likely bring, and because I know the Ice Beam only did 44, I decided to stay unmegged and just Moonblast. Because if he's not Scarf, he's probably not staying in, right? He would try to pivot out into AV Tangrowth. So I decided to stay unmegged and just click Moonblast, but they get the crit, which is really, really unfortunate. And this Kyurem should be gone, and that would be really nice because we don't have an Ice Resist. So I was like, dang. but I go into MEW now, and then decide to just click Drain Punch. So even if they stay into Ice Beam, I can maybe get some of the recovery back. So that's what I go for as they go into T-Tar. I just clicked Bulk Up. Okay, I didn't click Drain. So yeah, they go T-Tar, and I was like, okay, if you're Scarf. But they're not, so I just click Drain Punch, take it out. And that's really good because I'm at full, I'm at +1/+1. In comes the Pidgeot, a little annoying, so I just go into Zera. As I click Hurricane again. And here I make the play to Drain Punch. Just to get some health back, right? And I feel like it did enough to the Pidgeot, so I was like, I think this is fine. I can just click Drain Punch here as they go hard Diglett, and it works out because the Drain Punch just kills the Diglett. So I was like, I don't know why this Diglett came. I think it was most likely Choice Scarf to pick up the Zera, and if I click Plasma Fist into the Pidgeot there, then it would have worked out because they just trapped my Diglett, my Zera Aura, and take it out. But I click Drain Punch just to get some health back, but it ends up carrying the Diglett, so that's really good. I think they're forced to send out Excadrill here, so I decided to save my Zera and go into Shaman, because like once I'm able to stall out Sand, then like I'll be faster than Drill anyway. As he clicks Earthquake, just a decent chunk, but not enough. And here I debated clicking Protect to waste a turn of Sand. But I figured since MEW is at full, it didn't matter because I can just go MEW after and Drain Punch. So I decided to just click either Rest or just Z Flare, but he reveals the Z, Stadium Z, and takes us out with the Corkscrew Crash. Not the end of the world, I can just go into MEW, and I believe I just Drain Punch. Yep, a Drain Punch, which kills the Excadrill, and I'm back to a good amount of health. In comes Pidgeot. I believe I sacked off the Zera. Oh, I didn't sack it off because I got the Drain Punch health back, so I'm still around. I believe I just clicked Drain Punch again because, yeah, it kills the Pidgeot, and we get some health back, which is nice. In comes the Tangrowth. I just fire off a raw Toxic just to put this on a timer in case it comes to it. As they click Earthquake, take out my Zera, and I was like, okay, no biggie. I go into MEW. I click Bulk Up. Oh, sorry, I just clicked the Z, the Bug Z. If it went hard cure, I'm expecting the MEW to Bulk Up, then they would die. So basically, that's why I made the play. And if they stay in, then this Tangrowth is chipped, and then Hydra can win with Dark Pulse twice. So, yeah, because this is also AV, so I don't have to worry about Synthesis. So I clicked the Savage Spin Out, but it only does 68%, but that's actually pretty good damage. Since Toxic's gonna do 12, so this Tangrowth's basically dead. And I believe it just clicks Drain Punch here. Yeah. Get like 1% back. It comes to Kyurem, I go for Drain Punch again. But I believe the Ice Beam just kills me, which is fine. Because thankfully this thing is in Dark Pulse range, so I don't even have to miss a Draco Meteor. So I just click Dark Pulse, and Hydra actually gets his first kill of this tournament. It's 5 games. It took Hydra 5 games to do something. But yeah, close 1-0 win, but I think we played well. Again, I don't think there was hacks. If anything, we hit ourselves in confusion. The rest of the Tangrowth would be on a timer a lot earlier, which would have been super nice. Yeah, we win, and we progress to round 4, I believe, which I think is top 64. So, yeah, I'll be back with that in a... Alright, we're back, and we're facing basically a similar team to what we just faced, which was pretty funny. So there's another Z Excadrill, and this T-Tar, there's Tangrowth, which all 3 of this we faced before. There's a Rotom Wash, which is, a really good pivot, so I guess Rotom Wash over... I don't remember what the other team had. They had Makeup Pidgeot, so I guess Rotom Wash or Kyurem, whatever. Reuniclus, which they had a MEW. Reuniclus is pretty solid on sand teams as well because it doesn't take damage thanks to Magic Card. And it gives a pretty sturdy fighting resist. And an Ambipom. And there's a Tapu Koko, which was just bent. So I was like, okay, interesting. so people have benched a Zapdos, a Mew, a Toxapex, and a Tapu Koko versus me. It's like, they were being nice to me because I don't like USUM. Anyway, and there's a Mega Banana on this team, which obviously should be benched because it's trash. But yeah, we're playing this person named Fallen Shuriken, who actually pretty decent, I think, because I think they're doing decently well in the summer season. So, but I think this matchup is a lot easier than the last one, because the last one, Shaman had to be careful of Kyurem and Pidgeot coming in for free on it. But this time, Shaman has there's nothing that pressures Shaman on his whole team, which means Shaman is really, really good. Which means the Excadrill has to break Shaman, which is fine because Shaman will be dedicated for the Excadrill. So, yeah, I think this matchup was really, a lot better, and I feel like it was in my favor, kind of. So, starting up, it's the same Mew set from last week, except the Z move has changed from Bug to Psychic, because +1 Zen Headbutt, +1 Shattered Psyche with Zen Headbutt as the base. Oko's Rotom after Rocks, which is really good. And then Drain Punch hits the Sandcore, and then Leech Life hits the Reuniclus and Tangrowth. It also gets around like Calm-Mind Reuniclus. And Zen Headbutt also hits the Coco, which is really good. And we're once again just enough speed for Jolly Titar. Next up, we have a Shukaberry Zeraora, and we're just 3 attacks Toxic. Plasma Fist, because Stab hits things pretty hard. Knockoff, just to get rid of items, especially like an Assault Vest on the Tangrowth, or Rocky Helmet even, and getting rid of berries or like Colbur Berry on whatever. Toxic for, again, the Tangrowth, because Tangrowth on the time is really good. And then Brick Break. I went Brick Break over Drain Punch just because Coco, he just screens Coco and like screens Rotom in like previous rounds. So if I get if screens come, Brick Break is just better, just, so I can, if it goes like Reflect Light Screen, U-turn Coco, this way I can stop it, which I felt pretty good. Next up, we have a pretty speed F Papa Steelix. There's just the Tapu Koko check. And with Stealth Rock, Earthquake, Roar, Toxic, Rocks because Rock's broken, Earthquake hits the Coco, hits the Drill, hits the Titar. Roar, just in case anything tries to set up, like Calm-Mind Reuni or Calm-Mind Coco. And then Toxic hits the Coco, hits the Rotom Wash, which is the most likely switch in. Hits the Tangrowth, which I think is pretty good. Next up, Shaman, Max HP, Max Fist F. I think it's the same set as last time. Sea Flare, Rest, Protect, Air Slash. Max HP, Max Defense. Protect, Stall, Sand Turns, as I mentioned before. And it helps us like scout the Z move. Next up, Diancie, and I believe it's the same set as well, like Calm Mind, Rock Polish, Moonblast, Earth Power. Except I get to be modest this time because the speed tiers are pretty bad. They go from Ambipom to Excadrill, so I only need to outspeed Excadrill. And then again, Calm Mind and Rock Polish, they can just put in the work. Moonblast is unresisted. Except Drill, which we have Earth Power for. And last, we have a Tangoberry Hydra. Pretty speed F. This is just a Reuniclus pivot. Reuniclus can have Focus Blast, but I figured the best coverage for it was like Calm Mind, Psychic move, Bug move, and Recover. Just because Steelix can do a lot to it, so you can Psychic it for a good chunk of damage. So we went Tangoberry for that Signal Beam. And Dark Pulse, Rooster, Power Taunt. Taunt's really nice for like Rotom Wash and Reuniclus. Yeah. And then Dark Pulse, Earth Power hits basically everything, I think. So, and Roost for longevity. So let's jump into the game. As they lead Ambipom and I lead Zero. I figured Zero was like the best lead, but the Ambipom was a lead was a little annoying. I didn't want to take a Fake Out so early, so I just played into Steelix. Because there's no Coco, this felt pretty like redundant. So he clicks Fake Out, he gets a crit, otherwise he would have taken more damage than he did to me. And he reads Speed Life Orb. Then he clicks Low Kick, which does a good chunk of damage because we have Speed F, now Fist F. But I am able to get up my rocks, so I was like, okay, I don't mind this. I just go Shaman on the expected Low Kick again because Shaman has no weight. yeah, 6%. So it does, like, he's already taken 30% chips. I was like, that's good. And now I believe I pivot back into Steelix. Yeah, I pivot back into Steelix on a knockoff or something because I didn't want to take it on my Shaman. As he pivots into Tank Growth, so I was like, okay, I can try to Toxic this. But he reads that Focus Blast, but misses. But we missed Toxic, so it's like pretty much a neutral turn. Nothing happened, and I was like, oh dang, this thing is a little annoying. So I decided to save Steelix and just go back into Shaman. And it clicks Leaf Storm. And I was like, okay, fine, I can try to Air Slash it down, get some chip. As it reads to be AV again as well, so it's like AV Tank Root's pretty popular pick into my team, I guess. And that's when I was like, dang, I should have been Toxic, not Air Slash. Because that would have helped me when we won the tank. But here I believe I click Sea Flare as the Reuniclus reveals to be Regen, I guess. He's not Magic Guard. And I was like, okay, maybe this is AV2 for the Diancie, or I'm not sure why it has Regen. But Sea Flare does a lot of damage, which is really good. But we don't get the drop, which means he lives the next one. So I believe I just click Rest here, expecting the tank root pivot. Yep. And I believe now I just pivot Hydra. As he clicks Sludge Bomb, luckily he doesn't get the poison, which means I can go back into Shaman. As he clicks Focus Blast, does a good chunk of damage. But yeah, basically this is proving to be a little annoying because, again, I didn't bring Toxic, so this Tank Growth can actually stay in on the Shaman, which is really annoying. I just kept thinking it would be Rocky Helmet Tank Growth into my for Zera, but both people brought AV Tank, so it's like, okay, it's a little annoying. He clicks Sludge Bomb again, doesn't get the poison. I believe I'm forced to rest again. As he clicks Sludge Bomb again, does a good chunk of damage. And I believe I pivot out into Steelix to sack it off. As he clicks Focus Blast, predicting the Hydra, but gets the Steelix, so nice on him. I go into Zera now, and I believe I click Knockoff because getting rid of that AV is super important on the Tank Road. As he pivots Rotom, and this Knockoff did a lot of damage, so I was like, huh, maybe the Plasma Fist will take it out because this doesn't seem to be fully bulky. But it only does 51, so it does live on 4. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe I just got a high roll on this Knockoff then. But this is a little annoying because the Rotom's able to defog, which means we don't even get Rock's chip on the Tank Growth anymore. So that's a little annoying. And the Rock Setter is dead, which means no rocks from our side. And I was like, okay. But I just clicked Knockoff again to go with the Rotom. Even if you swap, Knockoff is like good on everything because you get to know the item, which is good. Here comes the Ambipom. Here I don't have Steelix, so I decide to take the Fake Out. And I just click... Ooh, did I click Knockoff? Oh, I just clicked Plasma Fist. Just in case the Ambipom stayed in. Plasma Fist was the only thing that killed, I think. So yeah, Plasma Fist, as the Uniclus comes in, takes a good chunk of damage, so I go for the Knockoff. Because in my head, I actually thought this was AV, not Colbur. But it reads to be Colbur. I click Psychic, but doesn't kill, so I was like, oh, this is good. I can click Knockoff again. And we get rid of the T-Tar Smooth Rock, so I was like, okay, if Sand goes out, and next time T-Tar comes in, at least it won't be 8 turns of Sand, which is a little easier to play with. Here, I believe I went for the Toxic, and he makes a really good play, and goes Reuniclus instead of Tank Growth, so I was like, dang, I was hoping he would go Tank Growth, but he goes Reuniclus, which is a little annoying, but I guess it works out. Here I decided to just go into Hydra and fire off a free Dark Pulse. As he goes into his AV Tank Growth, and we do a good amount of damage. I decided just Dark Pulse again, because he can miss Focus Blast, I could flinch. But I crit flinch, which is really unfortunate for my opponent, because that means the next Dark Pulse will kill. So, and I know he's going to save his Tank Growth, so I had a pretty free Earth Power, didn't have to predict much. In comes the T-Tar, takes 24%. And yeah, I decided just Roost to waste Sane as he clicks Rocks. I was like, oh, that's a little annoying. Maybe I should click Taunt. But I figured it was either clicking Stone Edge or something. So I decided to just click Earth Power again to weaken this thing down. As I click Stone Edge, does a lot of good amount of damage, especially with the Sand Chip. So I decided to go Roost it off again. In comes the Tank Growth. I go for the Dark Pulse once again. It's a good chip. He clicks Focus Blast, misses, so unfortunate for him. I click Dark Pulse again, I believe. Yep. As he goes T-Tar to set the sand. I click Earth Power to get Chip. As he goes Reenaclist, I was like, okay, that's not gonna save you, right? So he's gonna sack the Reenaclist to get Sand Turn. So just click Dark Pulse, take out the Reenaclist, so that's one regen mon down. In comes the Drill. Because I'm Tango, I decided to stay in just to scout the set and click Earth Power. As it does click the X Scissor, but because of a Tango Berry, we do live and are able to get a good amount of damage with the Earth Power, which is really big because this means Excadrill now dies to Moonblast, which means he doesn't have a Moonblast switch, which is epic. And here on the last turn of Sandstorm, since I'm gonna die to rocks anyway, I decide to sack off Hydra and decide to go into Diancie. Here, I really wanted to click Rock Polish on the T-Tar sack, which I figured was the best play. But in my mind, there's also a small chance he might just go Tank Growth expecting Earth Power. In which case, Rock Polish would not help me because I don't think Moonblast would kill from like, what is this, at 62%? So in my head, I was like, oh, if he makes that hard Tank Growth play, Moonblast is better because it would KO. So I decided to just Mega Evolve and go for the Moonblast, but I really wanted to Rock Polish on the T-Tar sack because if I Rock Polish as he goes T-Tar, I click Moonblast to take something out. He can go Tank Growth, but in that case, because Sand is up, my Spadef will be up, which means I can just Moonblast twice to take out the Tank Growth, and then obviously everything else would be slower, so yeah. But I just chicken out. I just click Moonblast as he does sack the T-Tar. And he's going to have 4 turns of Sand, which is a little unfortunate. In comes Drill. This was scary, but I figured I had to go Shaman. I had to keep Diancie around to get a hit on the Tank Growth if needed. So I decided to go Shaman as he clicks Sub, which is a little scary. And I was like, okay, Shaman, come on, you can't miss. I click Protect. I guess Protect stalls a turn of Sand, which is good. And I get some... Well, I don't get lefties because Sand is up, but it was a turn of Sand, basically. As he does click X Scissor. And now I click Seed Flare. I don't miss, so I break this up, which is pretty good. I do lose Shaman here, but Shaman was just here for the Drill, and the Drill is basically dead, so Shaman has done his job once again. And that's fine. I can just go back to Diancie, fire off another Moonblast, pick up the Excadrill, which is really nice. In comes Tank Growth, I decide to stay in and Moonblast this as well. As you can see, it's a 2-hit KO, so which is why I Moonblasted versus that T-Tar sack instead of clicking Rock Polish, just for this. But he actually clicks Leaf Storm and doesn't get the KO, and I was like, huh, what? Maybe Diancie is bulkier than I thought, and maybe this one is just trash. But we live, which means I can Moonblast again to pick up another kill. And in comes the Ambipom. It's gonna fake out, so we lose a Diancie, but that's okay because we can just go Mute and Drain Punch and win the game. He clicks Return. It's not gonna do enough. He with a crit, which means Drain Punch wins us the game. So another close 1-0 win. This was definitely a little hacksy, and sorry to my opponent. Like the crit flinch was pretty bad. Him missing a bunch of Focus Blast was pretty bad, which would have forced more roost from my Hydra, which allows him to get like offensive plays. So yeah, a little unfortunate for my opponent, but I feel like the Mew never came out, and I feel like Mew was super strong because his team is so slow. So I don't know if I would have lost without all that hacks that I get, but again, sorry for my opponent. Hacks is definitely annoying. Like you can tilt and you can not make plays you would have the option to make more plays without hacks, so I definitely get it. So sorry to my opponent, but we're able to win and move on to top 32, which is big. So yeah, I'll be back with that in a bit. Alright, we're back with our top 32 game versus Dr. Geo. We played Dr. Geo in the past in the USUM Cup, I believe, like pretty early on, like around 64, around 32, I remember. But we're facing him once again in another tour, and they have a team of Tornadus T, Mecha Medicham, Zeraora, Chansey, Klefki, Mamoswine, and there's a Suicune and a Whirlipede on the bench. So there's some threats for sure, like Zera, Medicham, Mamoswine, Torn. But this team's not the best because obviously you can notice a few things right away. which is one, there's no dark, which means stored power psychic is gonna go insane. Their aura is really, really, really strong here. They don't have a lot of counterplay to it. Uh, what else? And the team is like, what do I say? No, that's basically the issue with the team. Everything else is like pretty fine because they have like a bunch of breakers and the walls are okay. It's like the bulky ones are not the best, but like they serve, like they manage. Mouse Wine obviously scary because we don't have an ice resist, as we mentioned in the past. But because the Mammoth Swine is the ground type and this Zera is crazy, it could also just be like Choppel or Bulky. This Eric is definitely scary too. Puts pressure on the Steelix for sure. Torn, definitely scary because again, our flying resists are not the best, so like a Z Hurricane is going to hurt for sure. But yeah, let's jump into a team. Starting up, we have a Bulk Up, Plasma Fist, double fighting Zera with Titanium Z, max speed to speed tie the Zera. This set is really, really strong here. I basically just need Plasma Fist and CC. Drain Punch is just in case because you can not take the drop, which can help, and you can also heal, which is pretty nice. And Titanium Z with like the ZCC will basically KO the Zera, which is really nice. Also, because we are a Z Crystal, we don't have to worry about like Switcheroo from the Klefki, which is super nice. Like we won't get a lagging tail. Yeah, the Zera set can basically just win because he doesn't have a lot of counterplay to it, which is really nice. Next up, make a Diancie, and it's Earth Power, Moonblast, Explosion, and Diamond Storm. Enough speed for the Mega Medicham. Moonblast, because I think the only resist is the Klefki, which we have Earth Power for. Diamond Storm hits the Torn, also just nice if you get the boost. And I just want Explosion just in case like Suicune comes in like Moonblast and it's like in range of Explosion. I can just explode to take it out, which I felt like was pretty useful. Same with like Chansey if I need it. Next up we have Mew with a Key Berry. Max HP, max defense because this is a Mega Medicham check. Key Berry gives us a defense boost on any physical moves that make contact. And once we get that, Calm Mind, Psyshock, Heal Bell, Soft Boil. This set can just win because I went Psyshock over Stored Power just for, what do you call it? The Calm Mind Suicune. Because Stored Power is a little weaker than Psyshock. So I didn't want to be stuck in that Calm Mind war with Suicune. And here I was like, after 2 or 3 Calm Minds, I can beat the Suicune 1v1. Heal Bell, because this set only loses to Toxic, so Heal Bell beats that. And then Soft Bite for longevity, and then Psyshock because he doesn't have a Dark type, so I don't really need to worry about like not hitting something, right? The only resist is Klefki, which, I mean, if the Diancie does its job, it'll be chipped, which means the Mew can pick it off easier. Next up, we have Steelix with the Choppel Berry because once again it's Zera. More Spadef because I expect like Z Focus Blast. And then Earthquake Roar, Stealth Rock, Gyro Ball. So it's pretty similar. Gyro Ball hits the Torn pretty hard. Can maybe hit the Medicham too if it's like full. With like Choppel, we can stay into Gyro Ball. And then Roar just in case like Klefki tries to Calm Mind or Iron Defense setup or something. Next up, we have Shaman with a Yachi Berry. The Yachi Berry covers for both Suicune and Mamoswine, so I can like stay into Grass Knot. Grass Knot, because it's like strong versus Suicune, has more PP. I was really worried about like getting stalled out of Seed Flares, especially if it was like Protect or something. So Grass Knot's better. Synth for longevity. Lead Seed, once again, there's no Grass type on his team, so Lead Seed's pretty free. Allows for easier pivoting. And then Dazzling Gleam was for the Medicham, basically, and the Torn a little harder, I guess. And last, we have a Choice Scuff Hydreigon, just to revenge the Torn, Medi, Zera if needed. Draco, Dark Pulse, Defog, and Earth Power. I really wanted to be U-turn on the set, but I decided Defog was just better just in case Klefki gets some spikes. which could be really annoying for a team. So I just added defog and then stabs, and then Earth Power hits the Klefki, um, and hits the Zera, so it seemed better than Flamethrower. So yeah, that's a team. But I don't remember the lead, so let's jump into this. The lead Torn is really Diancie, and I EV'd my Torn to live in HP Steel from Torn. So I've in like regular form. So I figured if he tries to go for that, I can just stay regular form in Diamond Storm and get a huge chunk of damage off on this thing. So I stay in regular form to Diamond Storm. As he clicks U-turn, gets a crit. Well, annoying, not the end of the world. As he goes Klefki, and here I think no special attack Klefki would not kill Diancie, or it was a roll. So, and this felt like it would be Shuka Berry for the Diancie. So I figured, oh, I can break the Shuka in regular form, lift the Flash Cannon, and the next turn Earth Power, right? Seems pretty strong. So I decide to Earth Power, as it only does 22, as he does click Flash Cannon, so he just goes right for the attacking hit. It takes a Diancie, and I was like, oh, dang, I didn't play that super well. But I was like, okay, it's not the end of the world because Zera and Mew just win this matchup in my head at least. So I was like, not too worried. I was like, okay, I misplayed that, but it's not the end of the world. Also, I believe during this game my laptop crashed. So I was panicking because I had to get it on my phone because I didn't want to time out because the timer was set by me, I believe. Yeah, because I have auto timer on. So I was a little rushed because I was trying to get the game up on my phone. And from the calc, I remember I didn't calc, but I thought I left Flash Cannon on like 2 or 3%, and I can just do power again. But unfortunately, Klefki gets the kill. I don't know if this had investment. I feel like from the Earth Power, like this seems max speed up, but yeah, maybe the U-turn crit then mattered because I feel like it was a roll at least with Flash Cannon. So if without the U-turn crit, maybe it was more in my favor, but I don't know. Not the end of the world. Like, it's fine. It's not game losing at the moment. Decide just go Steelix and get up my rocks as he goes into Torn. And here I decide to pivot into Zera, expecting a heat wave from the Torn, but he actually just clicks defog. So I was like, okay, that's fine. Here I use my opportunity to bulk up. Because Torn has shown U-turn defog, so it's probably just a bulkier set. So I was like, okay, that's perfect. I just click bulk up as he goes hard Zera. So I was like, wow. He doesn't really have a lot for Zera if his counter to Zera is hard Zera. Here I just go for the Z fighting MZ, because even if he wins the speed tie, it goes for like his Z own CC or Z focus blast. It wouldn't kill us, and we would kill him back. So Zera gone would be huge, right? Because that's his speed one. So I didn't think it was the end of the world to just risk the speed tie. We win it, which is perfect, which means we stay at full. And we have +1/+1. In comes the Mammoth Swine. And here, I could have had two choices. Either CC this, Drain Punch, or so I guess three, right? CC, Drain Punch, or swap out. In my head, I was like, since he's so weak to Zera Aura, this has to be Chopper, right? Otherwise, his team just loses, right? Plasma Fist. I can CC this or Drain Punch this. CC kills this, and Fighting Move kills this. So in my head, I was like, this is most likely Chopple. And the thing is, if he's Chopple, he doesn't kill my Zera, which means if I Drain Punch, if I CC, I would die because I would get the defense drop. But if I Drain Punch, I break Chopple without lowering my defense, and then I can Drain Punch again to get all the health back. He could also be Scarf, which was the other possibility in my head. But again, Scarf did not kill me. So if he's Scarf, he clicks Earthquake, he does a lot of damage. I click Drain Punch, heal a lot of it back. And then I can swap out because I know he's Scarf. So in my head, those were the possibilities. And I figured Drain Punch was just better because then if he is Chopple, which was my most expected item, I can, what do you call it? I can Drain Punch again, 2 Drain Punches, take this out, and then I can get more chip damage on whatever I need, or maybe even just win the game. So I go for Drain Punch. He is not Chopple. It does 72. And he clicks Earthquake. which basically reads he's either banded or soft sand, like he needed a boosting item to kill. There's no way a non-boosting element could kill. So I was like, oh, it's unfortunate. In my head, I thought he got the roll, but I was like, also, he's not Chopped, so his like game plan was to lose to Zera. But I was like, okay, that's not the end of the world. I decided to go Hydra, and I believe it just clicked Dark Pulse. Because I figured he was either going Chansey or Torn. He goes Klefki, which I was like, fine, I can go back into Steelix. As he pivots Mamoswine, so I pivot Shaman because I expected another Earthquake. Yep. And here, I believe I clicked Grass Knot. Oh, I just clicked the Synthesis, expecting the Torn to come in. I was like, okay. I go into Hydra now. As he does click Hurricane. I wasn't sure if he'd click U-Turn or Hurricane, so I just went Hydra. Seemed pretty safe because I lost both my Flying Resist. He clicks Hurricane, gets the Confusion. I was like, okay, a little annoying, not the end of the world. I can drop a Draco here, do some good damage on this Torn, and then maybe that would put it in Gyro Ball range from Steelix. So I go for the Draco, but I hit myself in Confusion as he U-turns, and I was like, dang, this game is not going my way, right? So it's like, okay, not end of the world. I go back into Steelix as he goes Chansey. He sets his rock, so I set my own rocks. In comes Medicham, and I decided to sack Hydra here because basically it was dead at this point. Because then I can go Mew and Calm Mind, and it felt like the best opportunity to try and win with Mew. So I sack off Hydra here as he goes Medicham, clicks Fake Out. So I go into my own Mew and I can Calm Mind as he goes into his Torn, which I was like, fine. Like, now I've Calm Minded up, he cannot do a lot to me. He clicks U-Turn, which gives us a Key Berry. So I was like, oh, this is perfect. We are all set up now. I can, I believe I just Calm Minded again. Yep, we're +2/+2. I click Psyshock just to test. As he clicks Toxic, which is fine because he gets Toxic back. And this turn, because I'm getting low, I just Synthesis up. As he goes Klefki, and I was like, okay, this is fine. I believe I just click Heal Bell as he clicks Light Screen, and I was like, okay, that's fine. I'll just Calm Mind more so that, I can pick up the kills I need to. As he goes into Mamoswine, and I was like, okay, this is fine. I can just click Psyshock, take this thing out. I also didn't expect this to have a lot of speed here because it makes no sense. My whole team is faster than the Mamoswine except Steelix. So Zera, Diancie, Mew, Shaman, Hydra. And the Zera matchup was so bad that I felt that this would be super bulky to take the Zera hit better. So I didn't expect it to have speed. This is not like me not speed creeping. I just wanted to be max HP, max defense for the Medicham anyway. Because how much speed did I even put? Yeah, I didn't put no speed but in my head I was like, this is probably not going to be faster than my Mamoswine anyway, right? Like, there was no point of making this creep adamant Mamoswine. But he clicks Icicle Crash. I was like, okay, this should do 28%, which is not a big deal. We click Psych Shock, take this out, even through Light Screen it should die. And nothing else on his team can even do anything, right? So we can soft spoil it up till Light Screen runs out and just win. But he gets a crit, which would still be okay if he didn't also flinch. And I was like, dang, come on. This is such a brutal way to go out. It's also basically the first attack I've taken, right? Because it was just a U-turn from Torn. And it's not like I've been playing for the crit. It's the first hit I've taken. And I get crit flinched, which is just brutal, right? So crit did 62, which means without the crit it should have done 40, which means at +1, with the boost, it should have only done 28%. So I would have been super healthy. Size Shock, I'm +3/+3, so the Torn can't do anything. The Klefki and Chansey are just set up for, I set up Heal Bell, Size Shock, whatever. Yeah, this game is over. He cannot beat the Mew. But the crit flinch, and I was like, okay, my only hope is he misses Crash, and I'm able to soft boil it up. But obviously he doesn't miss. And yeah, this the game because I can't win. Like Shaman and Steelix are my defensive pieces. I can't beat the Chansey or the Torn. So at this point, this is just over. Goes Torn. I go into Steelix as he clicks Hurricane and misses. I believe I click to Roar here as he clicks Heat Wave. I click Roar, I get Chansey, not even like Klefki. Click Earthquake, and it doesn't kill. So I was like, oh, once the Chansey soft boils, it's over anyway. I believe I clicked Roar, and Chansey goes to full. In comes Mammo. Clicks Crash, takes us out. I click Dazzle to take it out, so at least he gives me one. He didn't even have to. He could just go Chansey, preserve a 5-bow. But he goes Chansey now, and I was like, I go for the Elite Seed. Basically, my hope was he misses like all his Toxics, maybe. But he hits the Toxic, and which means it's over because I don't have Aromatherapy. And yeah, we crash out of USUM Cup. And I don't know. I think we just got robbed. Like, there's not a way of putting it. That's the first attack Mew took. I also don't know why the Mamoswine was max speed. My whole team is faster. There's literally no point. I think the opponent said that, oh, in case something was like not max speed, but I feel like in this case, it's not even like aggro speed creep. It's just really bad prep. Like, no offense. But it got bailed, so, you know, it worked out. What can I say? I definitely played the Diancie wrong. I shouldn't have selected to the Klefki, right? I could just safely go Steelix up rocks, pivot into Zera on the Torn as he defogs. Basically the same thing happens, but I have an extra Diancie, which is really nice. Yeah. I stand by the Zera play. I think it makes sense if the Mamoswine was Chopolo Scarf, because I live the Earthquake. I think he was complaining that he lost the speed tie with Zera, but I feel like if I took a hit with Zera, I was either going to switch out or click CC, because in that case, I never clicked Drain Punch on the Mamoswine. So I swap, right? I think I always swap on the Mamoswine in that case, which means I keep my Zera around for later, and I can still fire off strong hits. So, yeah, not sure, but definitely the crit flinch just ended the game in our run, which is unfortunate. Can actually go into the circuit. The most annoying thing about it is that, so we have 467 points. This is us. I can zoom in a little. Yeah. So we got 367 from Oras and then 100 from here. But since we're only like top 10 and it's like still really close to like the 17th place, it's a little annoying because if we won this, we would have gotten 50 points more, which would have put us like at 7th place, which I think is really nice. But because of the loss of points here, I think I'm forced to play the Sword and Shield tour, which I kind of wanted to skip if I want to keep circuit going. But yeah, that'll be the next tour. I'm also in the seasonal. If I make it to Top Cut, I will upload that run. If I don't, probably not. And then depending on how far I do in seasonal, I'll upload that run as well. But yeah, thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time. Bye!